All right. How's everyone doing? This is Timothy, Time and Refinement. Hope you all had a great weekend. This is Tuesday, day after Memorial Day. I was listening to a gentleman today, who shall remain nameless, on his channel, and got a lot of good stuff to say. A lot of good stuff for the men, a lot of good stuff for building yourself. But again, my goal on this channel is to delve just a little bit further into perhaps why men specifically and more so, but society in general, men and women, why we're so unhappy, why we're so unfulfilled, why we're so discontent. You know, talked about this a few different times. And he was speaking about men just need to care less. And I agree with that to a point. You have to be stoic. You have to grow some scales. You have to grow a backbone. But this whole thing about being stoic around the ladies and who you want, just I don't know. It's just, if you care for something, why do you, cut it off emotionally and not be attached? It's something I've been trying to figure out. So that was an interesting thing, and he also talked about, which most red pillar channels talk about this, about how you don't want a single mom, how you don't want someone that's been quote unquote ran through or has had a lot of partners and bodies, and that's fine. That I encourage that as a man, but make it make sense. If these guys are plowing through girls and then they demand a virgin after, or they sleep around even a few times and then they demand a virgin after, it's like, make it make sense. How does this make any sense? Well, a lock that unlocks many keys is a master lock, and a key that's unlocked by, or a lock that's unlocked by many keys is a crappy lock. The whole saying, hilarious. That's what we love to use. So if we want, as a man, if we want a girl that does not have any bodies and wants to love you for you, to be her only partner, how does that not correlate on the other side either? Because the girls that are have a lot of bodies or ran through, someone is running through these girls, and I hate to say it because I'm throwing my own kind under the bus here. These guys are the ones that are plowing through and then demand someone that has no or low, very, very low body count. It's like, I don't know. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. These guys that are like, well, she's already ran through, so what's another one? You know? So why not take it all the way back to the beginning and be like, what if everybody had that same thought process, thought pattern? So anyway, yeah, it just irks me a lot because there's no accountability, there's no responsibility, you know. Um, I have buddies that are like, yeah, I mean, I've slept with girls before, so it's unfair of me to demand someone with a lower body count than me, or perhaps someone that doesn't have any bodies. I'm like, okay, now we're making sense. We're making sense. Of course, this comes from a personal aspect because I haven't slept with anybody, so it bothers me because I'm out here, fighting for my life sometimes, and I haven't slept with anybody. And here I am, like, your standards are way too high for someone, for a girl who hasn't slept with anybody. And it's like, well, I kept myself to the same standards. So isn't that we are what we attract, right? I mean, that's kind of the whole basis of life and relationships, allegedly. So, not entirely sure how all that makes sense. But anyway, it's an ego thing. I think it is. It's really an ego thing. And you know, I am very careful on how I phrase what I phrase because when I say I prefer someone that doesn't have any type of past or body count, I'm immediately labeled as all the names in the book. So I'm very careful on how I phrase it because there is no judgment. People can do whatever they want. They really can. I just shed light on perhaps why people are discontent with their lives. And maybe perhaps hedonism isn't the way to go in that sense, in that regard. But yeah, I mean, you know, people can do what they want ultimately, and they're going to do what they want. You're not going to change their mind. You're never going to change their mind. And so I'm very careful on how I phrase my standards and who I prefer, who I want to marry or get into a long-term relationship with. So I'm very careful on how I phrase that. But for some strange reason, the amount of insecurity that we have in this regard is just preposterous. I've had buddies' wives tell me, like straight to my face, "You're never going to find a girl that doesn't have any bodies because there's no such thing as like you're just going to have to settle." I'm like, you know what? If I have to, if I have to die alone and not get married or be having a long term relationship with a gal, then so be it. I mean, this is something that I'm gonna die in the hill on, and if if that happens, so be it. You know, if there's a gal that comes along in my life and absolutely just knocks my socks off with everything, and she has had a couple partners or one partner or something like that, yeah, I mean, there'll be a conversation for sure, absolutely, and have to reassess some things and how she is and how I am, and she wants to be with me and I want to be with her and all these things. But like face value right now, no way, no way. And for those of you listening, if you've kept the same standard for yourself, don't let anybody knock you down for your standards because it's very rare these days. Super rare. I don't think people realize how rare it really is. We've thrown it around so much in culture the past, jeez, like I swear, even 10 years, 15 years, you know? I mean, even when I was a kid growing up, 11, 12, 13, early teenager, it was just not a thing. At least from what I gathered, it wasn't. So we completely flip flopped on this subject, and it's very sad because I think that's one of the main reasons why people don't want to commit anymore because their partner before maybe did it better or something. It's just it's so sad. It's so sad to me. It's sad to have to build an emotional relationship on something that you already did physically. So the dopamine is already maxed, right? So why not build smaller and get to know the person before you decide to insert yourself as a man? As crude as that sounds, but it's true. So yeah, I mean, hold yourself to that standard. You know, I mean, world can tear you down, your friends can tear you down, a lot of different people can tear you down, and it's just it's one of those things where um, they're just going to tear you down, and you have to hold yourself to that standard. Because I think there's a lot of people that did and threw it out the window because they're like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's nobody that's showing me that it matters. Even in church, religion, nobody upholds purity anymore. They really don't. And it's important. It's very important, in my opinion. There'll be a lot of people that disagree with me on this, and that's fine. But I guarantee you, I have a lot more cons than pros on my side of the argument than their side of the argument. There's many more cons than pros about just meaningless sex. So anyway, those are just my thoughts on that. Kind of went off on a tangent there, but I just had to get my thoughts and opinions out on that. But again, the gist of the matter is all these guys that want to sleep around and get the rocks off. Sure, you can do whatever you want, but make it make sense. It is illogical for you to demand someone that has not slept around. Even as a man, men are totally differently wired in regards to sleeping around than women are, obviously, but it still doesn't give you a pass to do it and then demand someone that didn't do it. So, anyway, I love you guys. I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. And I am very proud of where you are in life. I appreciate you tuning in again. I will see you next time. I love you. I cherish you. And keep your head up. You got this. Life is good. Cheers.